100,000 Sikhs gathered in Punjab and carried out a Sarbat Khalsa. Despite state repression, intimidation and curfews, 100,000 Sikhs turned up to decide on their fate and made a political decision. Now, a Sarbat Khalsa isn't a mass gathering of Sikhs. If it was, this could be seen as a Sarbat Khalsa. Sarbat means all, which means representing all Sikhs, representing all Sikh aspirations. And in recorded history, in our 500-year history, there have been about 7 official Sarbat Khalsas. And Sarbat Khalsas were generally called at times of grave danger. And you could argue that our history has been full of grave danger. But grave danger when we faced near extinction. They were taken out by the missiles and the legislature of the Sikh Empire. The one before November was in 1986, when the Sikh nation, after decades of repression, decided that the only way for Sikhi to survive in India and outside of India was to be politically free, was to have a land called Khalistan, where we could live and breathe free. So people would argue that in November 2015, what was so bad about the Sikh nation? What was so bad that we had to call such a seldom used political tool? But before I talk about why we needed that Sarbat Khalsa, why such a momentous thing had to be used, why such a political tool had to be used, I want to talk about some of the issues that were going on. Now, you'd all recall that in October, November, there was a spate of Beadbi, a whole spate of Beadbi, where there were coordinated terror attacks on Guru Maharaj. We talk about coordinated terror attacks in Paris, and much of us talked about those on social media, very eloquently and very passionately, but there were also coordinated terror attacks on Guru Granth Sahib Maharaj. Angs of Guru Maharaj were torn and thrown in the streets, and we're talking about our ishq here. What the Indian establishment realized, that through the National Security Act, through the Terrorist Anti-Disruptivities Act, through the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, through Operation Blue Star, through Operation Shanti, through Operation Metal, through Operation Shuddhikaran, you can't actually kill the Sikhs. You cannot actually kill them physically. So they decided different type of warfare. And what the Indian establishment have realized, you don't need to kill every member in opposition to destroy them. What you need to do is to destroy their values. And each spate of Beadbi, each ang that was torn from Guru Maharaj was a destruction of our values. What we hold as our beloved, what we hold as our ishq, if they can destroy that in front of us, they can destroy absolutely anything. And what do you do when you've destroyed those values? You replace them with a new set of values. A new set of values where you may say Jai Mata Di instead of Raj Karega Khalsa. So in order to stem this, the Khalsa decided that it was time now to gather, take stock of where we are and convene a Sarbat Khalsa. And the Sarbat Khalsa overwhelmingly decided that what we are going to do now is to declare that we are free people. That the only way to ensure our survival is to make sure that we're free. So that decision was taken. But what we're seeing now is a slow erosion of those values on the inside. When those Paris attacks took place, I heard many passionate, eloquent debates by our people saying that you can't just pray for Paris. What about the genocide in Syria? What about the genocide in Libya, in Lebanon, in Iraq, Afghanistan? Then they'll say, not all Muslims are terrorists. They'll have all these eloquent conversations. Then I asked the same person, have you heard about what's going on in Punjab in November? And he said, apparently terrorism's come back. There is no Qawm like ours that speaks about every genocide but their own. There is a real fear and psychosis to talk about our own genocide. Then we refer to each other as extremists. You'll never find a Jew talk about every genocide in the world apart from his own Holocaust. We need to become confident in what's happened to us and where we're going. And this lack of confidence is having a crippling effect on us. When all this Beadbi was happening, a young Singh on a BBC show decided to disrupt the live show and say that Sikhs are being killed in India, in Punjab, and our Guru Granth Sahib Maharaj is being attacked. He disrupted that BBC program. And he was lambasted in the media. He was lambasted by Sikhs. All of a sudden, he destroyed our image of the compliant Sikh, the law-abiding Sikh, the submissive Sikh. He destroyed that image. We felt uncomfortable that he disrupted that program. But how uncomfortable did we feel when Singhs were being shot in the streets of Punjab in peaceful protests? How uncomfortable did these people feel then? We have to stop having sympathy with everything else but ourselves. Yes, we're feeding the world, and this is Guru Maharaj's principle, this is Guru Maharaj's philosophy. But there's also another side of Sikhi. And so this Sarbat Khalsa flies in the face of all those people who believe all we are international langar feeders. That all our job is Sarbat Apala, all our job is about peace, love and humanity. There's also another part of Sikhi as well. The fact that we've got a tool called the Sarbat Khalsa shows how political we are. Guru Nanak Dev Ji is portrayed as this fluffy, white-bearded old man that roamed the world preaching peace. Films like Nanak Shah Fakir would have us believe that all Guru Nanak Dev Ji believed in was peace, love and humanity. Guru Nanak Dev Ji was the fully fledged revolutionary. He was an anarchist. I remember just recently I watched a film called Lincoln, directed by Steven Spielberg. The whole thrust of the film was, should we abolish slavery in 19th century America? Abraham Lincoln said, I want to abolish slavery. He said this in their House of Parliament. As soon as he said this, the anti-abolitionists, the people who wanted to keep slavery, they went in uproar. They said, next you'll be saying women can vote, and the whole house goes into disarray. How can women vote? America at that time was seen as the bastion of liberty and freedom. 300, 400 years before that, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj was giving equal rights to women in a place in the world that had unlimited disdain for women. Culturally, physically, emotionally, religiously, women were being trampled on. Guru Nanak Dev Ji was an anarchist. He went to prison. If Guru Nanak Dev Ji was alive today, many of us may even call him an extremist. This is the element of Sikhi that is sort of dying amongst us. And it's not dying a natural death. There's a conditioning that's being allowed to happen to make sure this side goes away. There's never been a one-sided khanda. There's two sides to the khanda. And this is why I was upset myself when they took my article outside of the National Vaisakhi magazine. I'm not making this personal. It's just another symptom of what's happening, that we don't want to talk about politics. Fine, it's all right to meet Prime Minister Modi. There's nothing political about that. But don't talk about Bapu Surat Singh's hunger strike. Don't talk about Sant Pindrawale. Don't talk about the fact that so many Punjabi farmers are committing suicide on a daily basis. Don't talk about how more boys are being born than girls. For every 1,000 boys, there are 700 girls because of all the female feticide. But we don't want to talk about those issues. We don't want to talk about the Shahidiyan that are going unchecked. We don't want to talk about Maharaj's Beadbi because it's too political. This is what needs to be changed. And this is what we need to tell our kids as well, is what needs to be changing. Because this lack of confidence in who we are, in talking about our own issues, is making a real fragile future for the next generation. Now, some people might be offended by what I'm saying, but there are Sikh organizations that are working on the ground saying how many Sikh girls are being groomed on the streets by majority Pakistani men. And this is something we don't want to talk about. The Khalsa is supposed to protect these girls. We are supposed to protect these girls. But these girls don't believe the Khalsa is going to come because the soldiers of Guru Gobind Singh are too busy fighting over calendar dates and Maryada. We don't want to fight the real fight. We don't want to go with the real struggle. Kids are getting bullied. Even our own prominent Sikh schools. Kids who wear Sant Pindrawala t-shirts on a Vaisakhi day are getting alienated. They're being told to take their t-shirts off. When Akal Takht said we want to do Kali Diwali, there were kids in a prominent Sikh school. Now at some point, all the sheep in Singh's clothing will be exposed. But there were kids who wore Kali Dastana and they were put in isolation. A kid wore a Sukha Jinda t-shirt to school at that prominent seat school. He was so scared after the way the little kid was treated with the Sant Pindrawala top that despite the blazing sun, he kept his coat on all day. This one kid who had worn a Sant Pindrawala t-shirt, he was told by his teacher, you take this t-shirt off because that was a troublemaker. This kid's mum was in Punjab in 1984 and she had a house burnt down. She had a house burnt down in Punjab. She fled the oppression in Punjab and went to Belgium. In Belgium, they put a ban on her kids' dastar. So she left Belgium and came to the UK to face this persecution by our own. We are cutting ourselves at the knees. We have plenty of RSS agents who are trying to turn us into long-haired Hindus. We don't need to be doing that ourselves. So if anything that we take away on a local level, we need to implore our committee members to stop building buildings. We don't need no more bauble. Let's invest in the character of our youth. Let's build them up. Let's give them confidence. Let them know how powerful it is to be a Sikh. And not all you're going to do is wear a kurta pajama and feed the homeless. There's other parts to Sikhi as well. Let's give them that confidence. Let these girls know, rather than create an atmosphere of blame and alienation, let's create support networks so none of our girls are groomed again. At the moment, we're losing on many fronts, but as a collective, we can make a serious difference. That's on a local level. On a local level, let's implore our committee members, let's stop having useless meetings on how to create another darbar so we can have more weddings. Let's build a gym. Let the lads and the girls get in there and train. Build a community spirit. And maybe we can do something. And then on a bigger level, we want to stop Shaheediyah. No more Sikhs need to die. We need to find a place in the world where no farmer hangs himself from a tree. We need to find a place in the world where unborn girls aren't killed in illegal abortion clinics. We need to find a place in the world where 70% of our youth are not hooked on narcotics. We need to find a place in the world where there are not more sharab they're taking than there are government-owned schools. We need to find a place in the world where we're not persecuted based on our beliefs and our appearance. And that place will be called Khalistan. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Sri Akal.